The dog days of summer are here, and it is one of my favorite times to go catch bass. Now, I know a lot of guys are going to go running to the nights, and yeah, it's, in my opinion, a little bit easier to catch them at night. It's a little bit easier on you, but I like to be out first thing in the morning when they're hungry, they're aggressive, and they're feeding, and then when they move out there, whether it be in open water or whether it be on the ledges, oh, top water and power fishing. Is there anything better? So I love to start July. It's really kind of the tail end of this bite most of the time. It's tapered off, but you can still get a couple of good fish by deep cranking. There's a lot of good baits out there. There's a lot of different ones I use. And depth is relative. You know, I'm showing you some of the big divers. You know, this is the Strike King 10XD and probably one of my favorite colors. Tennessee shad. This bait has caught me a ton of bass in this color. This is the Big M and what I would call the Douglas special color, and that is blueback chartreuse side, that kind of baby blueback when it's dirty up there. But this is these are both two baits that you're going to be able to get down super deep. Now, you can fish a lot of different things. I mean, a lot of different crankbaits. Deep is relative. So depending on where the bass are, you know, I talked to Debo the other day, and he was talking about 12 to 15 feet was him deep cranking. Now, if I'm on a lake and they're that deep, I'm going to throw that. I'm going to pick me up something like a DT16. I'm going to pick me up something like a 6XD. I'm going to pick me up something like a Bandit 300. The Bandit will get down there pretty close to that. Some of the Normans will. There's just a ton of good crankbaits in that 12 to 15. Now, one of the things you always want to do is that if you're fishing a deep crankbait, you want to make sure that you're getting a bait that's going to run about 3-4 feet deeper than what you're fishing, because you want to be on the bottom getting this lip, these big lips, to bounce off rocks and wood and make erratic turns. So this right here is going to run about 23 to 25 feet. And one of the things that I love to do is throw this up there around that 8 feet, that 5 foot, you know, where I know those big gizzard shads are, and just dredge it, just grind the bill off of it. Because a lot of times when they're up there eating on those big gizzards, they will destroy this big bait right here, or really any of them. So don't be afraid to throw these big baits. I know you think they're monsters, but I mean, 1.5 pounds will hit this all day long. This is nothing for a largemouth bass that's in that 1.5 to 2 pound range. So deep cranking is going to be number 5 for me for the month of July. So when the bass first move out here, you know, like we're shooting this video on a very up in the mountains highland reservoir, and the bass are just out here. When they first move out, they love to kind of suspend up and chase any sort of shad that comes by. Of course, I run off and left my big spoons, but not just my big spoons. You really want to match the hatch, right? And so on this lake, there's some gizzard shad, but the dominant forage for the bass on this lake almost always is going to be threadfin. So they're going to be a lot of times that 3 to 6 inches long. And that's why I love the spoons from Nichols. The Mojo spoon is a great one. It weighs pretty good, but you can use it with pretty much anything. I think it comes in somewhere around about 1/2 ounce. You can use it with pretty much any type of rod and reel, so you don't have to have a lot of special equipment. And the same thing goes for Nichols Lake Fork spoons. They've got a couple different sizes there, and they're not that heavy, but they have a really great fall action. Now, if you're around bigger bass and bigger shad, that's when we're going to move up to Nichols Ben Parker spoons, the big ones. Now, we did a video talking about spoon fishing just, I think, maybe last year, and we were talking about how everybody talks about spoons. They talk about the big casting spoons, the big 8 and 9 inch, but don't let that fool you. I've had way more success on those 3, 4s, and 6s that Nichols offers, because you can fish them anywhere in these ultra clear lakes. I'm telling you, you got to try those out, and you'll gain confidence to throw those bigger spoons in the summer. And that, my friends, is number 4 during the month of July. I love a big worm during the summer. This is one of those things that can get you big bites, especially when nothing else is working. Dragging a jig, not working. Throwing topwater, not working. Crankbait, not working. Spoon, not working. Hair jig, not working. Out on those ledges or up on the banks in those deep channel swings where you've got some laydowns, or down in those brush piles, this is what's going to get you those big bites. Over the years, I've thrown a lot of straight tails in brush piles and around wood. And man, have I gotten away from that and started throwing the ribbon tail worms. Now, not a hook tail worm, but what I like is like the mag old monster. And the reason why I like it so much is because it's a ribbon tail. So it's not hooking over, and when it falls, it's going to stay nice and tight on the fall. So I like to throw this into brush piles. Maybe not super heavy cover brush piles, but I want it to fall and have that wiggle to it as it goes down. And then basically the way I'm going to fish this is I'm going to lift it up and I'm going to let it fall back down in there again. And I'm just going to work it down that lay down or across that brush pile doing that. This is not a time for wimpy rods and reels. So make sure you got some girthy gear, geeks. One of my favorite big straight tails is actually the Yum Mighty Worm. This thing is a 10.5 inch worm. And we're going to do a little video talking about this here over the next few weeks. But one of the ways, and I did a video about this a little while back talking about how people were going to probably kill me when I showed you this. But let me tell you, Nico this worm on the ledges, thank me later. All right, just thank me later. That's all I'm telling you. This thing can be fished so many different ways. Omega's got a huge hook, a shaky head. They call it the shaky foot because it's a football, and it is a huge gaff of a hook. Put this on it. Again, you will thank me later. Out there fishing the ledges, the deep points, humps, this thing gets bit. Now, one of the keys to these things, because they don't make a hook that comes way up here. Now, Nico riggings, it's a little different. But one of the keys, when you feel that bass eat a big worm, give it just a second before you hit it. Because he's going to hit it, and then he's going to suck it in. And I mean, it's just a second. One Mississippi, one 1,000, however you like to do it, and then swing for the fences. You're going to catch a ton of bass on this. Big Texas rig, dragging it on the bottom. They can't resist it. So number 3 during the summer, it's got to be a big worm. Number 2, and this is something that I stress to you geeks that you need to use if you're pond fishing. I keep saying this and nobody believes me. And I know eventually someone is going to do this and leave a post in my community about how they're rocking them. Or maybe you're just keeping it quiet. But we're out here on this lake and we did a live stream out here today. And one of the things that I talked about was how this lake is a flood control lake. So it doesn't have a lot of current to it at all. Really, the only current it gets is the rain in, and you know, that forces the rain out. They're not generating power. They don't have generators at the dam. And if you are fishing a pond that doesn't have a lot of grass, that helps with oxygen content. And even if you do, and the center is a little more open, Something that you need to think about, especially in July and as we get closer to August, is the thermocline. Because what will happen is you'll get this cold layer of water that sinks to the bottom because it's heavier. And as it gets hotter and as that water temperature warms continuously, that thermocline is gonna get higher and higher. And what that means is that it's a layer of colder water that has less oxygen in it. The bass can go down in it, but a lot of times what you'll find is they'll kind of suspend above it or right in it, or they'll find structure and cover that's right around that level. They won't live down there, they won't stay down there. So you hear a lot of people talk about pond fishing and about how you need to be fishing the deepest part of the pond during the summer. And that may be completely wrong if it doesn't have a fountain or it doesn't have good water flow. So if you're having a hard time catching bass deep on your ponds or even up shallow against the bank, what you probably want to think about is throwing topwater and throwing these. Because here, what's going to end up happening is these bass like to set on certain places. And earlier in the year, when the summer really starts to heat up, they're going to set on that structure. But as that thermocline begins to force them up, they're still going to hang out in that same spot. They're just going to be suspended. And in a pond, you can take something like this or this, you put it on a jig head, put it on, you know, an 1/8 or even lighter, and just fan cast out and reel it back. Learn to fish that suspended bait. Yeah, sure, it's easier to do a lot of other things, but you're learning a skill that's going to help you anytime you go that a lot of people have never put a lot of work in. And I've put work in it. I mean, I've got 9 years worth of videos that were way back before forward-facing sonar, where you see me fish swim baits this way, where I count them down. Or as soon as they hit the water, I start shaking and reeling. And you'll find that depth that those fish want to be at, whether it be in a lake like this or whether it be in a pond. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of the heads and some of the baits that I like for you to start with. So some of the baits, especially you pond guys might want to try, are a lot of the baits that have a lot of side-to-side roll. A head that's going to help you with those minnow baits is going to be the Queen's Tackle Rolling Strolling head. It's got a weird line tie, but if you use something like the Wing Fluke or the Deb's Sakamata shad or the Raid fish roller, something like that, it's going to really give you some extra action to it. Now, the bass don't always want that action. That's one thing I know a lot of anglers are like, oh, I like that rolling. But the bass don't always necessarily want it. They just want a nice little shake. And you can get that out of a lot of baits. And size is going to matter. So this is the 3-inch side from the Yum FF Sonar minnow in one of my favorite colors. I think Christie Natural is what it's called. But they make these now all the way up. I think it's to 5 inches. So sometimes, especially during the summer, they don't want some finger food. They want a good steak. So don't be afraid to throw them in the bigger baits to call those bigger bites during July. Whether you're on a lake or you're on a pond fan casting, that's going to be a huge bite. Now, in my area, what ends up happening in July is the shad are done spawning. They pull out as that thermocline begins to pull up, and they roam open water. Well, largemouth and smallmouth alike go with them. And so what that means is you get a lot of bass in the open water. You don't get a lot of bass out on the steeper, deeper banks. Generally, what I've found is the bass that are out on those steeper, deeper banks are less active than the ones that are roaming, feeding on those shad. And I'll be honest with you, geeks, I use so many different baits when it comes to this technique. It's crazy. They're all good. There's all a bunch of them out there. They all do a little something different when you put them on a little different head. For this, the lake that we're on right now, for whatever reason, they love this 5-inch size. Something else that you can do, by the way, And it's not on the list because what is this? It's basically a big, soft jerkbait. That's something else you can do. Put a little belly weight on it, twitch that sucker out there. But trust me, pick up a ball head minnow and go to town when you're out on the ponds and you're out on these low current fisheries. Now I picked this one up in the 5-inch because it matches the shad. They like this size. Once those shad are done spawning on this lake, this comes out, and this is kind of the size of those shad that they're going to start feeding on until those shad fry hatch and they move out to deeper water. This is the 5-inch Demiki Armor Shad, and a new one that I cannot wait to try, because if you pair it with a straight ball head or one of their own, the Demiki Armor Shad head. This is the Armor Shad Fat. Just came out this year. I cannot wait to put this to the test during the summer. Two of my favorite jig heads to use. Again, the Queen Tackle Rolling Strolling head. You can see how that line tie comes back. It can be a bear to tie a knot on this thing, but it's a great head. It's going to give any bait a great roll, especially you want to tie a loop knot on. And next, and they came out with a matte black on this too, so not just the silver, but this is the Angler Tungsten Eclipse. Love that screw, so it keeps those baits up there a lot longer. So the minnow bait has got to be my number 2 for July. Now we're going to talk about number 1, my favorite thing, and it is probably going to be number 1 for the next 2 to 3 months, because when they are on it, I'm going to be throwing it, and that is just how it is. What is it? It's going to be topwater. Now, I've got 3 rods out here right now that I've had some version of for probably the past 15 years. It's just, they work, and I understand why they work on the Highlands lakes that I fish, and they just catch bass. They just do. So what am I talking about? The good old one knocker from Heddon. When I'm fishing for largemouth out here in this clear open water, they are extremely shy. This bait doesn't have a lot of rattles. It's got a nice cadence and just enough sound to call those bass up from 25 and 30 foot down. Now, it's not quite translucent, but it's pretty translucent. This one right here, you can tell, has done a lot of work. It's been beat up. You've seen it in a lot of videos. But I don't know what it is about this particular color in a lot of other baits that does so well in clear water. But this is Pearl Melon, and it is in the Heddon Spook One Knocker. Next up, it's the junior version. Now, something that I can tell you to go check out is Lornet's Paint Shop. They'll do like 300 products. They'll release a run of 300, and that's it. And I picked me up, I think, 4 or 5 of these. This is a specialty color you can't get, but there are a ton of great Super Spook Juniors that will work. And again, you'll notice it has that kind of one knocker sound to it. Smallmouth love this, I think the smaller profile. And it also is one of the 3 topwater baits that basically have a dedicated rod in my boat almost year round. Last but not least, this little popper has taken over for me. Now, I've used a lot of poppers in the past. I love a lot of different ones, from the Rebels to the Lobina Lures Ricos. Love those. But over about the last, I don't know, 3, 4 years, 5 maybe, the Prank has done double time. I mean, in cold water and in the middle of July, this bait will call them up and get bites when no other popper will, and that's because it's not just a popper. It's a crank, and it has got a great bill on it that gives it a great side-to-side kick with 2-3 turns of the rod handle. So it'll dive down about 3 foot, and then I stop it, let it float back up, sit there for a minute, and give it just a spit. If they come up to it, I'll dive it down again. Sometimes when they don't want to hit top water, but they want to chase shad to the surface, this is the way to go, because you can get bit subsurface. So if they are not dedicated to hitting a topwater, but they are coming up or they are missing, this is your bait. And that, boys and girls, geeks of all ages, is number 1 on the list of July top 5. All right, geeks, let's see who's going to win the June BassGeek box. Of course, we did a video on the Mickey toad, the frog in there, the air frog. So let's go ahead and copy this up. Go to our comment picker. Include replies. We don't want to allow duplicates. 112 unique comments. Let's pick one. Dave Washburn. Dave, man, great job. Hey Hank, been a while. Been on hiatus for a bit. Happy to be back and see you're still out there swinging. Well, Dave, it's great to have you back, brother. I'm glad you're jumping back in on the channel. Hope you join the 100% Watch Squad. And what an awesome way to welcome you back. All right, sir. I'll drop a comment and show you won this box. I'll get your information, get it out to you. Thanks, geeks. All right, geeks, that is my July top 5. Put your top 5 down in the description, or even better yet, with some pictures, put them in the community over there and post showing some of your favorite baits for July and your best catches during the month of July, man. We want to see them. I love the community tab. I love that you geeks get to post to it, because it's going to help us, which is what I've always wanted out of this channel. It's going to help each and every one of us catch more fish. That's awesome. Way to go, YouTube. You did something right. Geeks, if you want to learn a lot more about fishing a casting spoon, a flutter spoon during the summer, and not be intimidated by them, because I know all the pros, they just want to throw around a big spoon, you know, might be overcompensating for something. But if you want to find out more, and I guarantee you're going to catch more fish doing this, go check this video right here out. It'll help you catch more fish on a spoon. As always, questions, comments in the comments section below. Like it if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you ring that bell. Be part of the 100% Watch Squad, because geeks, we in YouTube jail again. We need your help. And as always, you geeks rock.